Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology with Janet Hickox, also known as Divine Transmissions with Janet. It is time to grab your cup of coffee or your tea and sit back to relax so we can chat about what is happening in the stars above. And I can tell you, Gemini energy is in full force. It has been a crazy morning. Must have had 20 different conversations that I had to participate in this morning, none the least of which was a bunch of schedule changes, which I should have been prepared for because that's what happens when you have mass planets in an air sign, right? Changes, forcing us to be adaptable, to be flexible, to roll with the punches, as it sounds like a good idea for right now. Good morning to all of you. Welcome to Living Astrology. Tom, happy birthday to you. It is nice to have you with us on your special day. Good to see you out there with us. Pam Zaruba, good morning to you. And Debbie Tibbetts Tumiel, good morning. And Debbie says, happy birthday, Tom. Christine Buckingham, hello to you. And TD Hawk, good morning. It's good to have all of you with us. And I know I see more of you out there in the background. So if you're not in the chat this morning, welcome and it's good to have you with us. So we have an awful lot to talk about this morning. And I'm going to watch my words. It's not awful. We have a lot to talk about this morning. See how words can make things mean different things. So we want to be very careful. Indeed, right? So I have a lot to talk about this morning. We'll start with the moon as we usually do, as the moon is transited into Taurus now. And as the moon moves through Taurus, it reminds us of all the Taurian energy that we've just come through, right? And all of the grounding out of things that we have to be aware of, the stability and the security that we're building up while that sign was the placement for the sun and Mercury, Venus, and all Mars. Well, Mars goes in there this week, but Uranus and Jupiter was there as well. So all of the lessons that we learned kind of get triggered as the moon moves through the sign once more. And then we'll also talk about the movement of Mercury into Gemini. So now we're adding a lot more energy. The ruler of the sign is in the house. That makes everything Gemini more potent, more important, more in our faces, and more for us to have to deal with and contend with. So we'll want to know all about that, as well as tomorrow's Venus conjunct the sun, also called Cazimi. Cazimi is when a planet, an inner planet, Mercury, Venus, I think it actually kind of plays out with all of them, come within 0.17 minutes of an exact conjunction with the sun. And that is called Cazimi. It's almost like the planet that is in the conjunctions, um, things are being burned, right? It's like the passion is being released from whatever it is that that particular planet represents. So we'll be talking about Venus Cazimi, and otherwise known as Venus conjunct the Sun, Mercury conjunct Jupiter, and that all happens tomorrow. And then the new moon this week is on the 6th, also in Gemini. And we won't get to this, but later on Friday, when we meet, we'll talk about Mars's move into Taurus. But as well, we have a human design week to talk about where the sun has moved into the gate 35 experience and the earth into the gate 5, which is about rhythm and consistency, habits, and so forth. So, as I said, we have a lot to talk about. So let's get down. All right. Good morning, JLo. I see you out there. Teddy, good morning. I see you too. And anybody else that's out there, welcome. Transiting moon in Taurus. So when we have the moon in Taurus, we have a very grounded, practical, stable moon, right? Through the ability for us to focus our energies on the things that matter to us most, right? The most important things. Taurus is also a sign of deep appreciation. Gratitude and blessings live in Taurus as well. It's a sign that is very thankful for all of the gifts of the planet, gifts of the earth, right? So the ability to have our feet on the ground, to have plants that grow and produce fruit or vegetables that feed us, trees that also produce food to feed us, that we also benefit from. So, earth energy is very prominent in Taurus. So, Taurus as a sign encourages us to seek stability, right? To enjoy the physical world and to nurture ourselves and others. So, the key themes of the moon, which is all about our intuition and our inner selves, is about grounding in emotion, right? Earth, emotion, or I mean, excuse me, moon, emotion, Taurus, earth, grounding in emotional energy. And it's the emotional energy that becomes more steady here, I believe, right? That becomes more even keeled. We're not so prone to highs and lows. Maybe we're on a more neutral path. And that allows us to focus more on the practical matters at hand, whatever that might be, getting ready to come on a broadcast when all these people are chatting with you, getting ready to do something else in your life that requires grounding and practicality. Now, Venus is the planetary ruler of Taurus, so we also have an influence of money and relationships and sensuality, right? All of the senses, the physical senses, and comfort and beauty and harmony. All of these things spill into the moon's transit of Taurus because Taurus is ruled by Venus. And there's also another element here of worthiness and self care. Venus rules our values, our value, and our worth. And also, part of that is prioritizing our own self care activities during this time to make sure that our cups are full. This cup is not full, but recognizing that we need to fill our cup first in order to be there in a way that is beneficial and helpful to others. So we are especially appreciating the beauty in the nature around us, our part to play in that uh, world, and y- sort of arranging our lives around the practical expression of our values in the world. I hope that makes sense. I'm stumbling a little over my words this morning. They don't it's because my mind is in 15 different places. Persistence and determination is another quality brought to us by the moon in Taurus. There's a sort of steadfastness in Taurus. That would be the positive way to look at this: steadfast, loyal, persistent. On the other hand, that steadfastness can turn into rigidity, stuckness, caught in a rut, in a comfort zone. Those are things that we are having to balance and things that may be brought to our attention during the moon's transit here. So, let's look at the physical world and what the moon here can help us achieve while it's transiting through the sign of Taurus. One thing would be financial planning. Venus brings Venus as the ruler of Taurus, and Venus playing a big part already in the week for other reasons that we haven't talked about yet. But the focus then can become on, or can be on focus or financial planning. See what I mean? My brain doesn't want to work in tandem with my mouth. So financial security, making and keeping budgets, making savings plans, investing, looking at all of your investments and how are they there to support you, and ensuring that your material needs are taken care of. The home environment. In a way, Taurus rules the home, the environment of your home, right? The comfort, the relative comfort of your home. So enhance the comfort of your home, right? Enhance the beauty, enhance the artistry, the flow of energy in your home. This is also a time to indulge in your senses, take the time to enjoy activities and doing things that please your senses. So your sight, your sound, your hearing, in other words, your tastes, your feeling, the touch, right? The way that we sense the world around us and the beauty and the aesthetics of the environment you find yourself in, whether that's the natural beauty of the outdoors or the inner beauty of the indoors that you are creating. So it is a time for us to make practical, steady progress towards our goals, toward achieving our goals, and to be approaching our lives with persistence, right? Persistence is not the dogmatic kind of persistence or the I'm stuck and I have to keep doing this the same way over and over and over again. But it is persistence that allows us to stay the course of something that we've started in order to see the fruits of our labors. Right? Persistence, that kind, to work diligently toward those goals or to, achieve what it is that we want to achieve. Taurus can kind of support us to methodically go through the process of getting where we want to go, right? Methodically. It's very much one foot or hoof in front of the other, right? As we move forward. Now, we have challenges to watch for with any moon. Of course, that's always going to be the case with any sign, with any transit. There's always the high, and then there's the not so high. And we have to find the way through, right? So that we become neutral. And the challenges to watch for here is definitely about resistance to change. Now, that's a big, 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 big deal, right? It's not just the moon in Taurus today bringing that to us. It's this week filled with Gemini energy that is a sign that's mutable, adaptable, versatile, and is going to expose us to all the places where we've refused to change, right? Or where we've resisted take breaking out of the old patterns. So that is going to be both on a personal level and a collective level. So we might see this in various areas of our lives. There's also an overindulgence quality here. It's not the Jupiterian sort where we, go too far too fast, but when we're enjoying comforts, and some of those comforts might be food or drink or, being lazy, we can take that too far, right? We can get so comfortable being comfortable that we forget that part of that is working to, keep that going or to build something in your life that supports the times that you can be in your comfort. Complacency is another issue that we deal with the moon in Taurus, and that's from a lack of motivation. Like we might not feel so motivated to get out there and do the gardening or to go to the grocery store or to, vacuum the living room, which I should do today. Um, so push yourself to stay productive during this period of time and avoid falling into any ruts. Really examine where you are in a rut in your life and take steps to do that, whether that's through some kind of grounding meditation or this morning I was listening to a music list by Karen Drucker. I absolutely love Karen Drucker's songs, and they're all about lifting us up. They're about our being able to take care of ourselves first, about creating abundance and prosperity, about thankfulness and gratitude. I mean, it's really a song list that I highly recommend. So if you want to look her up, Karen Drucker, and listen to those songs, really key into the words. I think you'll see how that applies to this week as we go forward now. So, persistence and patience, but not rigidity, right? That's the key. But with using the grounded energy of Taurus, you can really sow the seeds of something or at least have the nurturing persistence that's necessary to get something grown, right? When we plant seeds, we don't keep digging them up to see if they've germinated or to see if they're growing, right? We wait to see the evidence that it's growing and then allow it to do what it does best, grow. So that's what we're up to. Okay, now also we are looking, I'm going to go into human design here for a minute before I go into the rest of the transits for the day. And, one thing, Tom, for you to realize is that all of these things are activating today. And these are things that will be active for you all year long. Right. So these are themes thematically. If your birthday is on a day that all of these kinds of things are coming up that we're going to be talking about, you have to know that it's activated for your year, not just for today. Right. So keep that in mind. Um, Now we're going to look at the sun and the earth in human design from June 1st, which was Saturday, until June 6th. The transiting sun is in the gate 35, which is on the throat center, and it's called the gate of experience. And the earth is in the gate 5, which is called the gate of consistency. And it's interesting because they are kind of opposite energies, right? The gate 35 with the sun is associated with the energy of seeking new experiences and adventures, right? There's this drive for change and exploration and growth through experiences, right? So it can really task us to move out of those comfort zones and try new things. That's where the sun is. And the sun's influence, of course, energizes that particular energy, highlighting that as a theme: exploration, learning through doing, and the pursuit of new and diverse sort of experiences, things that you haven't experienced before. So we're getting encouraged to step out of our comfort zones. Interesting, while the moon is putting us in a comfort zone. So you can see there is this challenge that's being laid down before us. It's fine to be comfortable and it's fine to stay in your comfort zone for a while. But when something is encouraging you to step out and be different, then take that opportunity, because this week is about doing just that. Now, the Earth is at the gate 5, completely opposite energy. It's called the gate of consistency in quantum human design, but the gate of consistency is about rhythm and routine. Right, rhythm and routine. And it is located in the sacral center. So it is where we have sustainable energy for keeping a routine or doing things in a rhythmic sort of way. So it brings up cycles and life cycles and all of that type of thing. It represents the energy of consistency, of patience, and the importance of maintaining steady routines, right? But remember, the earth is always bringing up the challenge to us for the sun. So the sun is prompting us to go out and have new adventures and seek excitement. It's the earth that's telling us that we possibly, either one of two things: we are not grounded enough, steady enough to be able to take in new experiences, or we've become too steady, too stuck, too rigid. And that is also not allowing us to have new adventures and seek new exciting things. So, the earth is here to stabilize the energy of the gate 5, steadying the routines, right? And the aspects of our day-to-day life, the discipline it takes to do the same things every day, getting up and doing those things that support your own body so that you can then go out into the world and do the work that you do. Um, so the transit of the earth at gate 5 encourages us to stick with routines and honor natural rhythms, but the gate 35 is telling us you got to get out of your funk and do something new and exciting. Yay, right? So those two things seemingly in opposite form. And our job then is to find a way to balance adventure and routine. So explore things, have new experiences, definitely. Um, this could involve traveling, which is a very Gemini sort of thing to do. And it doesn't have to be like travel to Europe if you're here in this country. It could be travel to the next state or the next county over. Just anything, a place maybe where you've not been, but allow yourself to be open to change and to growth. And then the other half of this is about maintaining consistency. By maintaining your daily routines, right? You in other words, just rolling out of bed and going and getting in the car and going off on some vacation is not going to be conducive to having a good experience or adventure, right? Because you forgot to pack, or you didn't pack everything you needed. You weren't ready, right? You didn't do the routine things first. So we have to be able to balance those things. This puts us in a personal growth mode uh, and development mode, learning through our experiences. So even if we do have an experience that isn't necessarily a positive one, it doesn't mean you did it all wrong. It just means now I know a way that I won't go about doing that in the future. Or now I know what I should have done. The next time I go on a trip, I will do it this way. Right. So we're still learning, even though it might not have turned out the way you wanted. So reflect on what the experiences are that you're having, and what does it teach you about you? What does it teach you about your experience in the world? Um, looking at how consistent you are in your practices, ensure sort of that you're your growth experiences, your growth activities include consistent spiritual work, access to meditation or exercise or journaling, those kinds of things. Those kind of routines help you to integrate new experiences and maintain a sense of balance in your life. It's so important, right? Okay, it's a time also to be able to innovate projects. Maybe you have a project underway and there's something new you want to add to it. It's a time to make steady progress on those new activities. Um, there are challenges here to be sure. It is an energy that's the sun, especially, is an energy that's Gemini. So we have restlessness, perhaps. We might even have impatience, perhaps. And the drive for new experiences, that seeking the new, seeking the novel things that we've not experienced yet in our lives, needs to be balanced with the routine thing, as we've already kind of talked about. But we also have to be mindful that those very things can trigger restlessness inside of us and that sense of impatience. So we have to get down to the desire level as well and balance the desire for that experience, that exploration, with the desire to also maintain healthy boundaries or healthy routines. Be mindful of overcommitting your time, your energy, and your focus to too many activities at once. Focus on the quality of your experiences, of your commitments, rather than committing yourself to everything. Human design type and strategy is very important here, as it really helps to keep you oriented to what's correct for you, and how long it is, or how correct an experience is for you will allow you to make the right commitments. There's also fear of the unknown that comes up here, anxiety about change. So that's another challenge we may feel in this week. Maybe stepping into a new experience brings you fear, like you decided you're going to start a podcast, and the idea of getting out there and doing that the first time scares the bejeebs out of you. Right? And but yet you have to do it, right? If you wanna move forward, you have to face the fear, feel the fear, and do it anyway. Practice self-compassion. Remind yourself that everybody goes through these kinds of fears when they step into something new. And the other thing that we may have to that we may struggle with is an inconsistent follow through in our commitments, or in the work that we're doing, or in the projects that we've started. So it's a good time to really check yourself, in terms of, if I've committed my time or I've committed my energy to a project, now I need to also include working on that project in my routine so that I have consistent effort toward achieving that, and working toward that experience of having achieved that, so that we can avoid, leaping into and out of things, or having a whole littered path of incompleted projects behind you. All right, so that's this week in human design. Any questions out there from people? Go ahead and put those in there. Hello, Narges. Good morning, Catherine. Um, Joan Durchy, good morning. Sorry, my eyes went blurry there for a second. I couldn't see who it was. It's good to have all of you. Uh, if you have any questions about how this might impact you, remember, because in human design, what we see is a different impact for people based on what their own human design energy configuration is. For example, in my own chart, I do not carry any planet at gate 35, nor do I have any planet at gate 5. So now suddenly those energies are being activated in my chart. And it can feel really good to have these new energies enter your space. But if you get too content with those new energies and then they go away, right, it can feel like you've lost something. On the other hand, if you recognize that, hey, these are new energies that have come in, and I'm going to take full advantage of new experiences and this access to consistency for as long as I have it, then it's a different story when you come out at the end of the week. So keep that in mind. All right, let's go to transiting Mercury's move into Gemini, which occurs today. So Mercury is moving into a sign it rules. So we have an empowered mind and information processing and data and all of that, and also communication, right? It's at its most potent, it's at its most effective when the ruling planet is in the sign of its rulership. So in this case, Gemini. And Gemini is an air sign, as we've talked about already. It's associated with quick thinking, with the adaptability, with curiosity, social ability, and all of these, very fast um, actions that are a part of our lives right now. So, the key theme with Mercury in Gemini is going to be about enhanced communication, and you're marrying that with mental clarity, right? I need a dose of that this morning. It's probably because Mercury's at the end of Taurus still, hasn't quite moved into Gemini yet. So Mercury's energy is amplified when it moves into Gemini, and that helps us with clear communication, with being more articulate, being more effective in what it is that we are saying to people. It's an excellent time then for these next couple of weeks to share ideas, engage in discussions, and express yourself. I noticed that there's a new like discussion groups going on that somehow I got connected to, and they're in apps that I'd never heard of. One is called oh gosh, what is that app? Tell us something. And WhatsApp, of course, which I had before, but what the heck is that one called? Like Telescope, tell us something. Um, anyway, well, I'll tell you about it later when I find it, but it's one that I'm thinking about in enacting for us here in the morning show so that we can have, these discussions continued even after the broadcast is over. And it is, the gift of Mercury and Gemini planets that create these pathways in which we can share. But also, it fosters a sense of curiosity and learning, intellectual curiosity, right? So, I want to know more. I want to know what's working behind the scenes. I want to unpack all of these things and I want to follow the different threads and see where they go. There's this desire for knowledge, almost as if we're thirsty at this point in time for learning more. And we want to explore diverse subjects and to satisfy our own intellectual interests, whatever they may be. Funny thing, last night I was sitting there thinking, I wonder what it would be like to learn to crochet or to knit. I don't know why I was thinking that. Something to do with our hands because Gemini rules the hands. And so having something to do with my hands felt really good. So I don't know. I don't know if I will do that. It was just a thing, a curiosity in the moment. There's information gathering here. So sometimes researching and finding out more information about subjects and then processing that information and then disseminating the information if that's necessary. It's ideal right now for researching and studying and looking at anything new and taking it in. It's almost like we're open. We have this sponge quality right now that is taking in all of this different information. So, the practical application of Mercury in Gemini is really all about improving our communication, whether that is being more clear in how we say what we say, using different words to explain ourselves, both in writing and speaking. It could be also expressed through creativity, the arts, for example, or even through acting. But there's a real distinctive expressive quality here. This is an excellent time, and some people are just gonna cringe at this one, to engage in public speaking, to get your voice heard, to do a presentation, to teach a subject, right? I do this all the time. So to me, this is my comfort zone. But for someone out there that doesn't do this as your work, it could be very difficult to do this. This is also something, just reminding me about singing, right? Singing is another way to express yourself. It's a great time to write new music, write songs, to sing those new songs, even if they're different from the kind of things that you do normally. So, your ability at this point to convey information effectively is at its peak. And that's true whether you are a Gemini or not, because all of you have Gemini somewhere in your chart that is piled high right now with planets that are creating a channel to our being able to express ourselves. Learning and education is another big deal here because Gemini is a sign of learning, but also teaching. So dive into subjects that really interest you. Take courses, attend workshops, or simply read something different from your normal read, right? Your ability to absorb information is heightened right now. So that means that likely you can retain more information about whatever subject fascinates you. In fact, this would be a great time to develop skills around learning or reading or speaking, all of those different things. Um, it's a time for networking and socializing. Gemini, as an air sign, is very social. It is a time to expand your network of people, talk to new people, get your voice heard in new places, in new ways. Networking can lead to new opportunities. For some of you out there who are line fours or who have a four in your profile, this is a great time to network with people because for you, opportunities often come from the people you know and the people that you don't know, but that know other people that you do know, right? They tend to go through networks. So networking can lead to new collaborations, new experiences, etc. Engage in discussions and in debates and conversations from a positive point of view, not from I'm right, you're wrong, because that never goes anywhere, right? It's about let's discuss, let's share ideas, let's see if we can see things from the other side. Now, we have to watch for a couple of things. Adding one more planet to Gemini means one more opportunity for us to scatter our focus, right? To have many distractions. Our devices distract us, our thoughts distract us during this Gemini time. We might have to practice focusing, like, meditation, kind of coming into this, ability to sit quietly and not allow our minds to run the show, prioritizing um, our goals or our actions in a way. So it's, we're if we don't do that, that scattered energy takes over and we're leaping and jumping all over the place. But if we have a sort of priority list, if you will, um, it helps us to do one thing after the other, to complete something and then go on to the next something, kind of reducing that whole, feeling of scattered focus and overwhelm, right? Because that can become overwhelming. We also have to look at depth versus breadth. So breadth is wide, depth is deep. So Gemini challenges are that it can tend to be superficial, like a superficial knowledge of things, not necessarily depth. Sagittarius, the opposite sign of Gemini, is where we can bring in this idea of depth. So while it's great to explore a wide variety of topics, be mindful of engaging with them deeply if you're going to share the information, right? You want to know what you're talking about instead of just having these superficial facts. If you're going to share superficial facts, make sure you say, well, I read this article and, from my understanding, this is what's happening. But I might be wrong, right? I might need to look deeper. So, lots of good things coming with Mercury's adding added energy to Gemini, but also the possibility that it triggers overwhelm. Even for those of us who are used to doing that kind of thing, manifesting generators, right? You guys are out there and you are very good at juggling different things, right? But even you might drop a ball now and again during a transit like this because there's so much coming at you. Generators, you're having to lean into your ability to take one step and put your foot in front of the other and take one goal at a time. You'll have to really use that as a way to solve your problems of scattered focus. projectors, manifestors, and reflectors, you have to be very aware that there are so many opportunities coming at you. You have to use your strategies wisely and your authorities wisely here so that you don't end up burning yourself out, right? You don't have the sacral defined in a way that allows you to be sustainable with that energy. So you have to make sure you're very wise about what you get yourself involved in and how you enter into something and whether you enter into something at all, right? That is a big deal for you guys. Okay, role model hermit here. That's a 6-2, Catherine says. 6-2s probably not overly impacted as far as a profile goes. Um, Depending though what, phase you're in of the 6th, right? If you're in the 30 and under, there could be lots of things coming up, lots of different experiences that you have to wade through. If you're in the middle part or the last part, it's probably calmer for you. You're a little clearer about what it is that you want to get engaged with or not. So it might be easier if you're not 30 and younger. But everybody needs to be watchful for this kind of thing. J-Lo, yes, Janet, I have so many projects up and they all connect. So breathing through it, having Gemini progressed Sun and Mercury is very interesting. Wow, this is like, this is very this Gemini message is very powerful in your life. It's probably breaking up any Taurus rigidity that you have. And that's been an ongoing process, obviously, with your progressed Sun and Mercury both in Gemini. So the experience for you might be that you need to make sure that you are coming into some kind of focus or concentration exercises, like meditation, where you can just quiet the mind and let all the chatter go and not get caught up in all of that mind chatter. Now, let's look at an aspect that's occurring as Mercury moves into Gemini. It moves into a trine with Pluto in Aquarius, right? All planets moving into Gemini at this point are coming into that trine energy with Pluto. And Pluto in Aquarius, as we know, has been triggering innovation and big changes, transformation, humanitarian crises, all kinds of things that are for all of us a path of transformation as a collective, not for us as individuals, but you're an individual as part of the collective, so it does impact you as well. The trine aspect always indicates an ease and flow of the energies between the two planets. So the ease between Mercury and Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius. And yet so it signifies flow. I think of it as a harmonious aspect, but I also know that a trine can be too much of a good thing is too much, right? So we have to watch for that as well. But there can be some really deep and meaningful conversational things going on during this period of time while this aspect is activated, which is basically just about 3 or 4 days here. And Mercury and Gemini, of course, representing quick thinking, curiosity, learning and teaching, and all those things that we've just talked about, expressing ideas clearly, communicating your thoughts in an organized way. And Pluto in Aquarius, symbolizing transformation and power, deep insights, particularly in the realms of innovation and collective change, forward thinking ideas, that type of thing. Pluto in Aquarius is encouraging us to look at the deeper truths and move those forward into the future. So between Mercury and Pluto, we have intellectual empowerment. Okay. We're empowering the mind to see and make new connections, to leap to new evolutionary, maybe solutions to problems, that type of thing. They become transformative ideas and conversations that take us beyond where we are, beyond our stuck place. And it's time for meaningful dialogue on a range of subjects, right? Not just the political diatribes that we hear or the he said, she said conversations that are out there, and there's such a dual nature in Gemini, right? But Gemini is the container that can hold duality, that can hold opposing viewpoints that can hold the two, right? The sign of the twins. And yet, holding those, recognizing the duality, but not falling on one side or the other, just holding them, being aware of them, right? That's a big call. That's a big ask in this very polarized world that we live in right now. Hmm. So that's going to be either overblown in the more negative way, where we see an inability to understand that the duality's impact during the trine, or it's going to help us to see that more clearly and to be more effective in our communication in a way that is more inclusive. Perhaps we can use that word here, that says, I see your point. Let me make my point, right? And somehow we can blend them without making the other person wrong, right? Because just because we shared a diverse opinion or a diverse idea doesn't make us wrong, right? That's not true, right? It's just not true. We are all different facets of this diamond called Earth. And as such, we all have varying experiences, different ideas, different ways of thinking, and it adds to the tapestry of the whole, right? The whole. Um, Duality separates, and we need to bring it back to wholeness. So, it's just the practical application here of this particular aspect would be really taking a look at the path of duality in your own life. Where do you find yourself sometimes pulled in two different directions? Or where do you find yourself stuck in your own opinion so strongly, thinking that you're right, that it becomes self righteousness and totally limits anybody else's ideas from penetrating your mind, right? Seeing what others see from a different perspective. Um, this is a time in this trine between these two planets to really marry this idea of how do we transform the world? It's going to transform with or without us. So how do we participate it in a powerful way, in a positive way, right? Rather than kicking and screaming and, blaming and shaming and guilt tripping everyone else, how do we participate in this change that's happening in a meaningful way? In a meaningful way. And self reflection is another possibility here, really looking at the part you play. What are your own beliefs, your own perspectives, and how do they limit you? Also, how do they orient you? Are they oriented with your own values, with their stated values, or are you adopting patterns in your life that have no meaning for you? Right? These are big questions. It's not going to be solved in a day. But if you are willing to, at least think about these things or entertain the idea that you have polarized yourself somewhere, then you start the path to healing. And that's what this can be all about. We have to watch for a few things, though. There's an intensity here of this energy, and it's possible that we are intensifying obsessions, compulsions that are power struggles between us and others, or even, watching power struggles in the governments that run the world. Basically, we're watching these things. So we have to be mindful of balancing the intensity and making sure that we are not taking on things that don't matter to us, right? If it doesn't matter to you, it's not a big deal for you. We need to learn how to stay grounded during this period of time. Again, there's so much energy of air, and it's prompting us to, fly and be free. But you have to have your equipment ready to do that flying, right? If it's not ready and it's not, the gas in the car isn't filled, you can't take that long trip. So it's a powerful time for us to explore deeply, to have transformative communication with others, um, embrace this idea of transformation and what would it mean? What would a healthy future look like for us here in our personal lives, but also in the bigger, wider world? So it's a pretty good transit, I think, if we look at it that way. Into the future, I also have Gemini, Sun, and Mercury in the 12th. Gotta love it. I have a Gemini Sun in the 12th, which is how the idea of divine transmissions came up, because that the Sun is kind of hidden in the 12th house, very hidden, right? I could be invisible. I would love to be invisible. But unfortunately, there's nobody to talk to if I'm busy being invisible. So I have to think about this because I do have these messages that come in, these things that I want to share with people and that hopefully uplift, that are educational, informational. And the 12th house sun is very good at bringing that in and channeling those messages. And with your Mercury also there, N2, then you're also in a position of communicating, of teaching, of learning perhaps the new things that you will then share with others. But you can't do that if you're too busy hiding in the 12th house. JLo, usually I'm in the 12th, which is hidden. Now Mercury making me do the work. Um, right? You can't even hide, right? There's something interesting about the 12th house that is, if you the more you try to hide, the more obvious it becomes you're hiding and people keep trying to pull you out. That is also true if you have the second line in your profile in your human design. So, whoever was the person that said they were a role model hermit, that's the hermit, the two. And if you have that in your, if you have that as part of your profile, that means 2-4, 6-2. You are constantly being called back out, even though you are very comfortable being hidden, being in the behind the scenes, as it were. So you're getting called out, JLo. You're getting called out, N2. You're getting called out. All right. Now let's take a look at Venus Cazimi. That is a term that I talked about last week with on Wednesday with Tam. We were talking about this term where it's the coming together of a planet with the sun within 0.17 minutes of a conjunction. It's very tight, right? It's a very tight conjunction. And when you have a Cazimi, you have significant illumination possibilities coming up, especially in this case because it's Venus. It's illuminating our values, our loves, our relationships, our beauty, our finances, right? Venus, Cazimi, the sun. So, Gemini, being an air sign ruled by Mercury, adds a layer of intellectual curiosity, of information, of ideas, and being adaptable during this kind of conjunction. So we know already that because Gemini is the sign, that we have enhanced communication going on, or a heightened ability to articulate our feelings and our ideas with others, to others, and even our desires. How do we articulate what we want to others? And with Venus involved, we're able to do this in a way that's charming, that's peaceful, that's harmonizing, right? It takes, what sometimes can be words that are just coming out, being blurted, and beautifies them, right? So Venus conjunct the sun in the sign of Gemini, beautifying our words. And in a way, the qualities that are highlighted by this promote harmony and promote beauty in our interactions with one another. Right. So even if we have to say something that's difficult to say, we might be able to do that in a way that promotes harmony. There is curiosity into intellectual connections. So we want to be around the people that stimulate our thinking, that help us with, seeing things in a different way. We want to learn together. Venus is relationships. So, wanting to attend courses or classes or things like that with someone special, maybe a spouse or a significant other, or maybe a dear friend. And the thing is that everybody benefits from the coming together in this way. Um, Improving in our communication with one another. There's a huge ability right now to, and along, into the new moon, of being able to say what we need to say, but in a much more beautiful way, right? Harmonizing, saying things gently, but not necessarily compromising what it is that we need to say, just being able to say it in a beautiful way. Socializing and networking. Venus is also social. Venus rules Taurus and Libra. Libra, a fellow air sign to Gemini. So Venus in Gemini ups the socializing and the communication in our network. So networking, meaning social medias or actual events, can be very engaging. And it might be a time to explore new interests with those that you love, right? So there are just a couple of things to watch out for with Venus Cazimi, the sun in Gemini. One is about superficial connections. Remember the whole depth versus breadth, right? So we don't want to just dabble with people's feelings or, with people's friendships. We want to explore a variety of different kinds of relationships, but we don't want to be mean about it. Like, realize that, I'm talking to you now and but you're of no interest to me tomorrow, kind of thing, right? That could be very hurtful. Restlessness and distraction, of course, overthinking, these are things to watch out for during this particular coming together of Venus and the sun. However, there are some really key things that you can take away from this that could be, you could turn them into affirmations if you wanted. And that is about communicating your thoughts and feelings with clarity and with charm, I guess we could use as a word, or with clarity and sweetness, gentleness, right? Being able to deliver a message in a very calm, harmonizing way. Um, that type of thing, maybe an affirmation that you could write around being adaptable and your ability to embrace change. So I'm not usually big on affirmations, but I'm recognizing their value right now, especially when we have a lot of communication coming up. And being able to hold a thought in your mind of positivity, maybe it's an affirmation that helps you do that so that you're not getting into the ugliness. All right. Now, Mercury moving into Gemini, besides moving into the trine with Pluto, moves into the arms of Jupiter. So, Mercury Jupiter conjunction. And that's a powerful alignment that amplifies everything. So our tendency to overtalk or to overcommit or to overindulge is peaked, but we also can have more effective communication and learning and a better ease and flow in our conversations and so forth. Taking curiosity and expanding that, broadening our horizons, as it were, um, more optimism in our thinking, and being able to be more positive in our thinking. Those are all big things with Jupiter and Mercury conjunct there in Gemini. I mean, it's staggering how much is going on, isn't it? Right? There's so much, and I haven't even gotten to the new moon, which occurs before we meet on Friday. So I'm going to spend the next few minutes talking about the new moon in Gemini so that everybody has that information. So the Gemini new moon is also going to conjunct Venus. Now, it won't be Cazimi because it'll have moved beyond the 0.17 minutes of connection, but it will still be a conjunction, which means that the new moon that always signifies a new beginning or a fresh start at something is aligned with the planet of love and beauty and harmony, and it amplifies those themes being a new moon. Right. So, this new moon, new beginnings in communication, especially in our relationships. If you've had difficulty getting a message across, or putting together a project that requires communication, writing, teaching, speaking, singing, acting, this is a time in this new moon to start over, to start fresh with that. Because Venus enhances the whole intellectual and social aspects of communication during this period of time. So we have creative inspiration as a new beginning potentially. We have artistic expression as a new beginning here with this perfectly perfect new moon. I mean, this moon is just amazing to me. So because the new moon is about setting intentions, what kind of intentions might we set? right? First, maybe setting intentions for your relationships, using the moon to set clear intentions about how you communicate within your relationship. How do you want to attract or improve your love relationships in your life? How you want to enhance a communication with your partners or with your business partners or with your friends, right? All of that. Maybe how you want to resolve conflicts in a harmonious way, right? Perfectly great intention there. Starting new projects or learning opportunities. Begin new projects during this time that involve writing or speaking or learning or teaching or all of those things that we've already talked about to do with Gemini. Gemini's energy supports that intellectual pursuit and the acquisition of new knowledge. But remember, you don't want to go overboard, right? Make it something that is really you're desirous of, that you really love. Enroll in a course, start a blog, write blog posts, join a discussion group, all these kinds of things. Enhance your environment. Remember, Venus is involved with this new moon, and she can be the beautifier of the environment that you find yourself in. Express creativity, right? Maybe you've held yourself back from expressing your passions. This new moon is a time to set the intention of getting your creative energy out there into the world. So it is a big moon. It might be a moon where it's time to initiate new projects that are related to communication, that are related to your relationships or to your creative endeavors, stepping out of the comfort zones and moving into new places. By setting clear intentions, then you can create the possibility of the experience of those new things. So embrace this new moon as an opportunity to connect deeply with others, explore new ideas, express your true and authentic self. Cool, right? And there's more I could say about that new moon, more that I will. Actually, I sent out an email on think it was Saturday. It's a blur now. I think it was Saturday. I sent out an email to the email list talking about the new moon with a link in that article also to take you to the new moon at the gate 35 and how you can use that energy as well. So if you did not receive that, you can go to my website and click on the blog tab and you'll see those articles there. I have also published the Gemini or Jupiter in Gemini course. It is available for you. I will post that link again for everybody. And that's about it. So let's do a card. Um, let's do Psychic Tarot. Ooh, ouch. That fell on my foot. The Psychic Tarot Oracle deck, which is by John Holland, right? Let's see what from the psychic realm we can add to our mind so that we use our mind appropriately, perhaps. And this will be for the week ahead. And discontent and boredom. Card number 4. This one looks like someone who's looking for an idea to take action on. So let's see. I'm not as familiar with this deck, so I'm not sure what this means. Like, I don't have a clue whether this is meaningful or not. I'm sure it is, though. Um, oh, this book moves in a different way. Okay. Hmm. So this book is in, there we go. It's in different realms: physical, mental, emotional, and psychic. So this is actually one that's in the physical realm. Is that right? Nope, this one's in the emotional realm. Green bordered. Okay, so the emotional realm. So this is going to deal with our emotions. This card signifies a time when you may experience stagnation, discontent, and boredom. Feelings of restlessness and impatience surround you. A relationship, project, or situation isn't moving forward fast enough and could be draining you emotionally and energetically. You're longing for change. And although one door may be closing, don't focus all of your energy on it, as opportunity will soon knock. A window or another door could quickly open. And if your attention and awareness isn't focused, you could easily miss it. Watch for synchronistic events that bring books, speakers, workshops, and new people into your life. Any of these could possibly hold a message for you. Have faith in divine timing and know that everything changes for a reason. This card acts as a reminder that it's a perfect time to reevaluate and search within your heart and soul for fresh insights. So apparently, it really does hold meaning for us. Discontent and boredom, which are two things that could lead you to feel restless with all of this Gemini energy and then take actions inappropriately, right? So, yay. All right, everybody. It's been great being here with you this morning. I will see you on Friday and we'll talk about Mars's move into Taurus and what other aspects we need to be aware of for the weekend. Take care. Bye for now.